Nicole Johnson. If you are joining right now, welcome. I am approaching the hostage encampment right now. There's a press conference going on at the moment where we'll be joining mid press conference. I don't know at what point they're at, but I'm going to try to give you some glimpses of it. And also after that, we'll recap what's happening. I'll step away every so often because most of this will be in Hebrew. And for those of you who don't understand, oh, wait, this is in English. It's in English right now. Here we come.
ציבור ישר, אתם צריכים לעזור לנו בפירוק האוהלים ובבושה מאחורי המשפחות.
So I'm going to try to put this on back camera as well so you guys can see what's happening. All right. So not happening. I can't see where it is on my phone about the back camera, but anyway, this is the tail end of the press conference, and right now what they're going to be doing. This is called Gaza Street, which in Hebrew means Gaza, actually. So it's the street that would go straight all the way, direction wise to Gaza. But ironically, it is also, or coincidentally, where Netanyahu, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has his personal residence, which is a little bit down the street. So, since it was announced that the offensive was going to start, this ground offensive, that Israeli troops were going to go into Gaza, ever since then, the hostages' families marched up here, and you can see they erected tents right here for the length of the street that's just part of where Netanyahu's house is, or apartment. So this has been, and right now it's actually a holiday here in Israel, a religious holiday, and there's some religious walking by that are upset that there's actually this going on. It's very rare for something like this to occur on either a Shabbat or a holiday in Israel, because there's this, of keeping the Sabbath, and so most of the big protests take place after Shabbat on Saturday night. So anyway, right here, we just take a look at this here. It says, "Your son is my brother." So quote from Rachel Goldberg Polin. Her son was taken hostage. Hirsch, you probably know the name Hirsch, and he was executed by Hamas in a tunnel along with 5 other Israelis. That was well over about a year ago, just over a year ago right now. So that quote is here. Um, there's other sign says the people want the hostages. Um, and it says here, the people want the return of the hostages. All right, so this is all about the hostage movement now. So this has been about a week now that this encampment was set up. And here, we're going to take a look now. I'm sorry, I don't use my phone enough to remember where back camera is. So we're going to do this really high tech thing of turning my phone around. So here are the tents, and actually people did stay in these tents overnight for the last week. People didn't leave this area. This is a main artery, a main street that goes through Jerusalem. Oh, I know her. Let's see. He said he's just talking about which ones to wrap up, to break down here. So anyway, there's this woman here who I just saw, who is very active in the hostage movement. Her cousin Carmel Gott was killed, was executed along with Hirsch. So why are the people here protesting? Mainly because they feel the government is not doing enough to get back the hostages. There have been several deals on the table, have not been taken, and or of course, wait, Israel will say though that it was Hamas that rejected it, or Hamas that made unrealistic demands, and then at the same time, that even when there was recently a U.S. negotiated deal on the table, happened to be on the table in Doha, Qatar, and when they gathered, the Hamas leaders gathered to review this deal, Israel bombed the apartment that they were in. So that blew up that deal, and there hasn't been anything ever since. And I think that's almost 2 weeks ago now. Um, but this, so this street, Aza Street, a main artery going through Jerusalem, it kind of cuts the city, center of the city in half. And this was blocked for over a week now, or just over a week. And down there further would be Netanyahu's apartment on the other side of that. Hi. And over here, just between here and there, was just fenced off. And this is what has been going on here. So we missed a lot of what they were saying, but I will tell you that the plan is to break this up, and then they are going to follow Netanyahu to the U.S., where he is scheduled to meet. He was invited to meet with President Trump. Nobody knows what that is about, whether it's going to be where Trump says, stop the war right now, or whether he says, hey, let's make another deal, or you shouldn't have done that in Qatar. We don't know. But anyway, I'll keep walking through here as I'm talking because there's some interesting things set up. So I did mention that this was the new year. It's Rosh Hashanah in Hebrew. And it's the beginning of the new year. So they set up, the hostages family set up this table where and they said, they called it no holiday. This is one of the biggest holidays of the year. It kicks off the fall holidays, of which there are three, and they take up like an entire month of days off, etc. Look at this, a broken wine glass here, which is very symbolic of what's happening. But these families are basically saying we cannot celebrate while our loved ones are in Gaza. Here's a broken wine glass, broken glasses. And pomegranates are very symbolic with the New Year, pomegranates, honey. This is all part of Rosh Hashanah, or the New Year. So there are still 48 hostages. You can see the signs here that we don't have an exact count of how many are living and how many aren't. Broslavsky, recently there was he appeared in a video that Hamas put out. So so there's been a sign of life from him. And then, very cynically, it was either Hamas or Islamic Jihad who released a video last night, an Erev Yom Kippur, of another hostage, Alon Ohel, who is a young man in his 20s and a musician, apparently. So they released this video. In the video, he's watching Netanyahu give a speech, and then he's criticizing it and thanking supporters or people like this who are going out um, and calling for rallying every day. So there's two different kind of movements within the hostages families. There's the bring them back now, which is like more imperative on the government, or bring them home. Bring them back now, which is imperative on the government, and bring them home, um, which is more imperative on getting the world and Hamas to get their release. So there's a dispute even among them about whether or not the Israeli government is doing enough to get the hostages released. So anyway, so that is what That's generally what's happening here and dividing the two camps. This camp is probably more so also just, bring them back now, which is why they're sitting outside of Netanyahu's house now. So this man here, he just had a birthday in captivity. He's now considered the oldest hostage. Today is Eitan Horn's birthday. This is his birthday today, actually. I just heard, I think it's his 39th. One of the main protest leaders is Einav Zangauker, and her son Matan is right here. She was apparently here today, and we missed it by seconds. So anyway, more news. Hamas has just apparently sent a letter to Donald Trump, to President Donald Trump. Dear Donald Trump, to whom it may concern, how are you, dear President? Being a little sarcastic. Um, we want a 60-day ceasefire, and we will release half the hostages. So apparently, this is now on his desk, and it's a lot of different outlets have reported that. So that's also another interesting thing as far as the hostage news goes. So these guys here, many of them, a delegation of the hostages' families, are going to be heading to America to protest at different sites. Probably will be following Netanyahu around to where he is, whether he's meeting in Washington, and also whether he goes to the UN. Because, as you know, segue into other news, the United Nations right now has the General Assembly, and there is um, a lot of talk about the recognition of a Palestinian state. If you're anywhere within the news and within earshot of the news for the past week, you will know that a flurry of countries, of Western countries, have joined some other countries to call for recognition of a Palestinian state and the establishment of a state. And typically, it had been Arab nations, Muslim nations that had done so, but in this case, it's now Western nations. It started off, France did it recently, and then it was UK, Australia, Canada, Portugal. They all joined in. And this has become the big topic at the UN General Assembly this whole week. And also, another another big part of the General Assembly is who's not there, and that would be the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas, who was barred, along with his delegation, from getting a visa by America. They wouldn't let him into the U.S. because of suspected ties between the Palestinian Authority to terrorism. So he was allowed to do his speech by video. Oh, wait, I have notes. I actually have a few notes, not many. But all of this, I've been blabbering for 13 minutes now, and I have failed to say that I'm here with my friend Kim. Hi. So Kim is usually on the other side of this because usually she's in America, and when I'm live and I'll get comments and we get to chat like this, but now we get to chat like this.
But I'm on duty because
Oh,
you're
thank
live
you.
next to you.
Thank you. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to watch, for crying out loud. Can I ask you to either hold this or my bag for a second?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. I'll get it back.
Your
I just
notes?
have to. Yeah, I got notes. I got notes.
So can we say why it was so short? I mean, not because we were late.
Yeah, not
It
just
just
because we
seems
were like.
like it was.
Can we ask why they were actually on time? Why Israelis
Israel?
for once were on time? We only got here at 5:05 or something, and they were mostly done. That's just crazy. All right. All right. I can re-up this. I got notes.
All right.
I was telling you guys, oh, I flip the page though. How do you flip the page?
I'm in music. I can flip the page.
Thank you so much. This is crazy. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. So interesting speech by Abbas at the UN by video. I would like to actually watch it. I haven't had a minute, but I read a little bit of a summary. He said that, I mean, I'm just giving you really some highlights. Hamas has no role in a Palestinian state. He said Hamas needs to be demilitarized. And I think he said that the Palestinian state would be demilitarized, which I got to check that, but that would be shocking. And he also called to release the hostages. So we can look at this at one of the two ways. We can say, okay, wow, he's moderate. Or we could say he's catering to the Western nations that also are condemning Hamas and calling for the hostages to be released. And because they called for a Palestinian state, perhaps that he's just, going along like, oh, I got to please them as much as possible to maintain this recognition. It's working in our favor. I'm going to go back. I'm going to wander again because thank you, Kim. If you comment, I can't read it. Somebody commented, oh my gosh, look, it's so hard to do this on the phone. Oh, Christine. Oh my God, Christine Phillips. You know what? If ever I was going to, like, seriously, I have like two or three people I can think of in my entire life. And I say, that I can give this title to. Christine is like the nicest, sweetest person in the world. So anyway, shout out to Christine Phillips. Thank you so much for watching. And I still remember you. The nicest. And then there's been one other since then that I was like, oh, she reminds me of Christine. There you go. Anyway, okay. Here, take a look. Don't listen to me. Just watch the action. Much more interesting. Okay, so I'm going to tell you some other things. Is that the military invasion right now that's going on in Gaza? It's of Gaza City now. Israel controls. I don't know what the percentage is. Probably maybe 50% of Gaza itself. I don't even know, but Gaza City was considered like the last strongholds. Like, will they be able to get like the last strongholds of Hamas? That they would be. They're using the buildings for surveillance, and they have recamped themselves over there in Gaza City. It's the most populated city. It's like central north of the strip, a little bit more in the north, but still centrally located. So the city was home to 1 million people, and Gaza itself is only 2 million. So that's like half the population in one city. That's pretty crowded. And also, of Gaza's 2 million, there were about 1,000 Christians only in all of Gaza up until um, recently, up to the war. Now there's fewer. Some have been killed, some have fled, and most of them lived in Gaza City. Most of the churches were there as well. Some of them are actually in the churches, sheltering in the churches. But reports of today are that 640,000 Gazans have already um, evacuated the Gaza City, and they're heading along the route that Israel had recommended. Go south. So 640,000. So that's they're at a majority. That's Shy Dickman. She's saying thank you for being here this week at this place. Thank you for everybody who participated. Thank you for the neighbors who have dealt with us being here. Thank you eternally. Oh, they let people in if they need to use their house or electricity. So there was a synagogue that participated with them here in the area. Thank you for dealing with us this whole week. Thank you for the organizers and initiators of this. And no holiday table should be filled until everybody's can be filled until we get them home. And she also is thanking now the cops, which is actually great because there's usually a lot of tension between the protesters and the Israeli police. So that's actually really big of her. Here's an officer right over there. And so she's saying that everybody, the hostages, the soldiers, and the reservists will all come home. Um, okay, so look, they pretty much dismantled it right now, the tents. The tents. So, I mean, I knowing the pain that they're going through, I definitely did not mind them being here. But I will tell you that it will make our drive to Daniel's school a heck of a lot easier with the street open. Okay, here, look at this. These are coffins that are dedicated to, there's three things, for hostages, for missing, and for bereaved families. Look at this. There's even a place open over there on Shabbat. Here's a lot of border police gathered over there. I bet they're glad this is over. You can see they had a lot of equipment here. I'm just reminded by looking at her sticker that it's day 718 since this all began. And so many of the people here, you'll see yellow stickers or any sticker with a number on it, and they're just marking the number of days since their loved ones have been gone. So anyway, I have notes this time. It's impressive, right? Okay, so yeah, so the first Israeli military casualty was well, occurred yesterday. Since the ground offensive began, this is expected to be really gruesome um, warfare, urban warfare. It's gonna, it's gonna get ugly most likely. Like if you followed like a year and a half ago when the military was just starting out in northern Gaza and just kind of leveling it. That's what they plan to do to Gaza City, and that is that over there was bad, and this is expected to be worse. Believe it or not, even though Hamas should have been weakened by now. But there's Hamas is actually on a rampage right now, executing collaborators, or suspected collaborators with Israel. They oh, it's putting the fences. It's going to get very noisy in a second. So So Hamas has been executing these collaborators and or suspected collaborators because Israel has found very precise targets. The assumption is that they're being told and they're getting intelligence from somebody. So that's a bit of an issue. Israel is also supporting or somehow supporting or working with some groups uh, in what do you call it? In Gaza, some other family tribal groups that have their own gangs and are opposed to Hamas. So that's also going on at the same time. And maybe, presumably, they're some of the ones who are being executed. So you've got civil war, you've got urban warfare. It's going to be very difficult once the soldiers get in there on the ground. They already the Air Force went through and knocked out a bunch of high rises. But again, a city that populated and, Hamas having had the time to booby trap and to do whatever they could do to these buildings. So that is going to be crazy. Meanwhile, and I think I'll end with this, um, is that in terms of getting people out, because I've spoken to a few people. I spoke with an ambassador um, from the Belgian delegate, and he was saying about how they are getting people out, what the operation entails to get Palestinians who have some kind of connection, can get hosts in Belgium to, get them a visa, to get them, refugee status and get out. And a lot of complications with that. I mean, first they have to get to a border within Gaza. Then they have to coordinate with the Israelis. Then they are taken from the Gaza border to the Jordanian border. Then you have to coordinate with the Jordanians. The ambassador mission on the Jordanian side will then pick them up and bring them to Amman, and they will get some care before they are put on a flight, or they have to process a lot of paperwork. And by the way, they don't have all the paperwork. They don't have all of their, what do you call it, documents, their passports, birth certificate. They may have nothing, especially if their house was destroyed. So they get that. They are get whatever they can processed. And then he said that they're coming extremely malnourished. And of course, the first thing you do is you feed them, right? So you feed them. And then what happens? They get sick because they're not used to food or that much food. So he said they actually had to start chartering flights because they would put them on commercial flights and they get sick on the flights. So he said they're very traumatized and they need a lot of care. And at this point, they don't know how to provide it. They're just getting them out. So imagine if that's just one small country in Europe, all the other countries that are trying to do the same thing. And I read this on a post from a Palestinian, I think American. He's not in Gaza, but he said that Australia, which recognized the Palestinian state, is not helping to get Australian Palestinians out of Gaza. So he said, like, the embassy in Israel is refusing to help them get out and process their paperwork. So I don't know what that means or why or whatever. So that's that. There are still Christians there, and I have a friend who has family members, cousins over there as well. And, they're Christian, so of course, but, this is the thing, like I tell you about being an American or having a Western mindset. I'm thinking like, oh, so why can't they just leave Gaza and come here? Like go to the West Bank, go to Bethlehem. And they can't. They are not allowed. They are not allowed to go from Palestinian territory to Palestinian territory. They have to leave the land. I don't want to say the country because they're not leaving Israel, but and it's Gaza, right? So they have to leave the land and they have to go to another country, be that Egypt, be that Europe, Canada, America. But the thing is, she's saying they don't know where to go. They have no other land. They have no other family. They have no other connection to anywhere in the world. And I'm like, oh my God, wow, never thought of that. Like for me, it'd just be like, get out, like let's just get out. Let me go somewhere. But it's so true. I didn't even think of that. So anyway, that is, those are some of the considerations for these people. So, all right, I'm ending on that. Today is the first day of Rosh Hashanah, which is a 2-day holiday. So this day, which feels like a Shabbat, there's no cars. Well, never mind that there are cars, but in general, everything's closed and there's no cars. But this goes on for another 24 plus hours, which is fine for me. But kids are off from school. Workplaces are shut down. No public transportation. Only people who aren't religiously observant would be driving or going out to eat or whatever. So this actually goes on for another day. So it's a little bit of an odd day, a little bit but odd holiday schedule right in the middle of the week. And it's going to go on. Next week is also Yom Kippur. That's a full shutdown for a day, but really more than a day because everything in Israel's got to be stretched out. And then after that, Sukkot. So we've got a lot of crazy times coming up. And just one more shout out to John. Hi, John. Thanks for tuning in. And listen, whoever is watching live and you're in Jerusalem, meet you at the Armenian Quarter and then at Newgate for some good Armenian food. In about an hour. So anyway, I am hopping from this protest to another one, and I'm not doing a live from the other one, but I'll keep you posted on that because there's a lot going on with churches, with taxes, with property, a lot. I feel like I need to do a lot more research before I jump into that cesspool of information, and need to be really accurate. Okay, anyway, here you go. That's all I got to say for now. All right, bye. Thank you for tuning in. And